All right, I have 12 o'clock, so we'll go ahead and get started to be respectful of everybody's time. Thank you all for joining us today for our brown bag presentation. Today's presentation is going to be something that's really interesting. Our guest presenter is from the Port of Houston. This person will be presenting on their 2040 long-range plan. It's a comprehensive plan. Our presenter today is Roy Saxena. He's the Director of Facility Planning at the Port of Houston. Roy is an award-winning leader recognized in strategy, formulation, results orientation, proactive approach to problem solving, and commitment to excellence. Over his professional career of more than 22 years, he's been involved in the successful planning and delivery of major programs and projects in the Americas, Australia, Asia, and across various sectors, including port infrastructure, urban planning, rail, energy, education, and management of capital works program. In his current role as Director of Facility Planning, Roy is responsible for the long-term planning of the port's facilities and infrastructure to ensure they continue to support the growth of the Port of Houston as a multimodal distribution hub serving the global market. He led the development of the Port of Houston's 2040 plan and is also supporting the program management of the Port of Houston's Ship Channel Expansion Project. Roy is passionate about building high-performing teams and specializes in the delivery of complex long-term programs and projects. His ability extends across strategic facility planning, business analytics, procurement advice, stakeholder management, and risk management, as well as he's been recognized for professional excellence by the Port of Houston and the Australian Institute of Project Management. So without further ado, I'd like to welcome Roy Saxena.
All right, good afternoon, everyone. And thank you, Francis, for, for the long introduction and inviting me to give this presentation. I appreciate everyone's interest, and I have put together this slide deck to give you an overview of Port Houston's 2040 plan. I understand everybody's time commitments, and to avoid information overload, I have tried to keep this presentation to about 20 minutes or so. And this should also allow us some time for any questions or discussions at the end. All right, so without further ado, I will start. Okay, so the question that often gets asked to us is, why are we doing the 2040 plan now, and what is its purpose? Well, the answer lies in Port Houston's core value, which is we are ready. For more than a century, Port Houston has worked proactively on its obligations as a port authority, port operator, navigation sponsor, responsive and responsible partner, and an economic catalyst. The 2040 plan represents how we value those roles and responsibilities as we look to the future, how they align with our strategic goals, what strategies we plan to implement to achieve tangible outcomes, how we plan to invest into our future, how do we continue to deliver benefits to our stakeholders and community, and how we will adapt and adopt to change. Before we dive into the details, I would like to highlight that developing the 2040 plan has been a massive effort. And I think our biggest success has been the active involvement of our stakeholders throughout the process. We started our internal stakeholder engagement early last year, and virtually all our staff members and executives were engaged in each stage of the process, which has been instrumental in shaping this 2040 plan. And just to put the entire effort into perspective, there were more than 20 major and minor revisions to this document, and our internal stakeholder engagement involved more than 35 meetings and workshops. On the external stakeholder engagement front, we had 6 information sessions with more than 67 different organizations invited to participate. These included our community partners, channel users, and our industry partners. In addition, we also presented the 2040 plan at a Port Houston webinar, which was attended by nearly 400 people. And there will be a lot more engagement like today's brown bag session as we move into the implementation phase of this plan. Also, It's worth noting that we took a holistic approach to our 2040 plan. And as part of that, we reviewed more than 50 local, regional, and statewide plans to ensure that our planning efforts and investments are in sync with other planning initiatives across the region. So what exactly is the 2040 plan? In simple terms, it is a comprehensive blueprint for the growth and development of Port Houston over the next 20 years. It serves as a framework for implementing our strategic goals and sets the foundation for continued communication, coordination, and collaboration with our stakeholders. The plan has been developed through a multi-phase process, which began a little over 2 years ago, and it was presented to the Port Commission for adoption in November last year. One thing, the recent situations that we have all been impacted by have made even more evident is that the 2040 plan is a marathon, not a sprint. The plan was prepared during a year of uncertainty. Events surrounding the global pandemic and social injustice provide challenges, but Port Houston has a sound foundation. We are keeping an eye on the next 20 months, but the focus is on the next 20 years. The 2040 plan has been developed as a living document, and it will be reviewed regularly to address emerging opportunities and challenges. Before we move further into the 2040 plan, I think it's important to recognize the distinction between the Greater Port of Houston, which includes our industry partners, and also Port Houston, which is also known as the Port of Houston Authority. The orange areas on the map that you see highlight the Greater Port of Houston, which has nearly 200 private and public terminals. And the red ones are the areas owned or managed by Port Houston. You may or may not be aware, but the Houston Ship Channel is the busiest waterway in the nation. Our port is now in its second century, and this slide shows some of the key milestones in our history. The journey, which started with the first navigation improvement to Buffalo Bayou and Galveston Bay in 1853, continues to move forward with the enhancements to the Houston Ship Channel. We are actively working with the Army Corps and our industry partners to expedite the next expansion, which we call Project 11. And it's called Project 11 for a reason. And the reason is that it's the 11th major expansion of the Houston Ship Channel in its history. So this slide highlights the impact the Greater Port of Houston and the industries within it make on our economy. Port Houston plays a small but significant role in the overall big picture. Together with our industries, we support nearly 3.2 million jobs across the nation and create an economic impact of over $800 billion. The Houston Ship Channel has played a significant part in the development of Houston as a mega city. And without the channel, there will be no port. No port means no cargo. If there is no cargo, there will not be any commerce. And without commerce, there will be no jobs. For more than a century, there has been growth all along the Houston Ship Channel, and it is likely to continue as Houston is projected to become the third most populous city in the US over the next decade. In terms of stats, our port is the busiest waterway in the nation, as I mentioned earlier, with about 9,000 vessels and 200,000 barges transiting through it annually. In 2012, Houston was termed as the irreplaceable port in Collier International's North American Port Analysis. And here, I'm probably sharing something which you may already know. Houston has the largest petrochemical complex in the country, and the Greater Port of Houston and the industries around it are key to our city being regarded as the energy capital of the world. Now that we have talked about the Greater Port of Houston, let's take a closer look at Port Houston. You may or may not be aware that Port Houston plays dual role. As the local sponsor of the Houston Ship Channel, it is a facilitator of commerce and economic development. And at the same time, it is also the operator of Houston's 8 public terminals. In terms of stats, Port Houston's 2 container terminals, Barbers Cut and Bayport, handle nearly 70% of the containers that come to the US Gulf Coast. So what does that mean for you? Just think about everything around you, the chair you're currently sitting on, the clothes you're wearing, or the furniture around you, they all cross our docks in a container. These slides provide a high-level overview of the assets owned and managed by Port Houston. I recognize and acknowledge that there are 200 other facilities along the Houston Ship Channel, but it's not possible to show all of them at this scale. But this gives you a pretty good overview of Port Houston's properties and assets. Okay, at Port Houston, we continuously work towards turning vision into action. Our mission, vision, and values are at the core of our planning and decision-making process. Our strategic plan sets our direction, and the 2040 plan provides the strategies for their implementation. Resulting from that are our action plans to ensure the delivery of key outcomes. The other key piece of our foundation is our people. With its commitment to strive towards economic equality, social justice, diversity and inclusion, and innovation, Port Houston recognizes that investing in our people and communities is key to our continued success. Through the 2040 planning process, 4 core strategies emerged, and we call them the 4 C's: channel, cargo, community, and change. These strategies provide the framework for 12 initiatives of the 2040 plan, which address a broad range of topics from infrastructure, operations, emerging technology, environmental stewardship, safety and security, community partnerships, and market dynamics in a manner that benefits port users, communities, stakeholders, and our facilities. So the first initiative under our channel strategy is the Houston Ship Channel expansion. And as I mentioned, it's also known as Project 11, which is critical to safely and efficiently accommodating larger vessels and two-way navigation, facilitating economic growth, and developing new environmental features such as flood and sediment control. The second initiative is expanded beneficial use of dredge material. Port Houston and Army Corps provide annual maintenance, dredging, and continual actions to expand, deepen, and minimize shoaling occurrences in the channel. As part of the Houston Ship Channel expansion, we are aiming to deliver a number of new environmental benefits. Some of them include developing 5-bird islands, providing up to 20 acres of new nesting habitat, oyster reef pads, establishing 376 acres of growth enabling habitat, and also 3 new marshes adding up to 8,000 acres to the coastal ecosystem. The third initiative under the Channel C is to manage and optimize our submerged land assets. These are the lands that lie beneath the Houston Ship Channel and other waters of Buffalo Bayou. Today, Port Houston stewards 14,500 acres of submerged lands, and we are in the process of developing a policy which is intended to support leasing of submerged land and barge fleeting. Moving on to the next C, cargo. Cargo is our core business, and as part of this strategy, we plan to build capacity of our 2 container terminals and optimize their operations. Both Barbers Cut and Bayport terminals have experienced record growth in recent years, and their ultimate build out could increase the annual capacity of our terminals to 7 million TEUs by 2040. And to accommodate future growth, Port Houston is also considering the development of a new terminal, which is in very initial thought and planning process. With regards to our multipurpose or general cargo facilities, we have carried out a terminal optimization study for our turning basin terminal, which identifies alternative terminal configurations and operational scenarios, along with consideration for transportation and community connections. Next, we plan to develop and integrate our real estate assets with supply chains. To give you a perspective, the combined area of Port Houston's facilities is estimated to be 10 times the size of downtown Houston. Maintaining a diverse and dynamic real estate portfolio backed by deep and shallow draft waterways provides us an opportunity to promote the growth of the integrated supply chains. The next C is community. Port Houston is committed to building partnership with its surrounding communities and stakeholders. The 2040 plan emphasizes the opportunities to engage in community-focused programs and projects and promote dialogue and open communication. We already have a a number of efforts in place, including our Port Commission Community Advisory Council, Community Grants Program, Maritime Education Program, Small Business Development Program, and the recently launched Minority and Women-Owned Business Enterprise Program. Next, the integration of environmental and sustainable business practices is a vital component of our decision-making process. Port Houston continuously works towards reducing environmental impacts and improving operational efficiency. We are in the process of establishing an environmental leadership strategy, which identifies environmental goals and considers business needs, resources, and our capabilities. Freight mobility is a key driver of overall regional competitiveness as freight moves over routes with the lowest supply chain cost. With increasing population and trade volumes through the Houston region, it is vital to invest in the regional infrastructure to minimize congestion, enhance safety, and improve air quality. We will continue to work in partnerships with local, state, and federal agencies to support infrastructure development, and that includes HGAC, TxDOT, and the City of Houston. Our fourth C is change, and adapting new trends and technologies are vital to creating value, sustainability, and resiliency. The current market dynamics recognize that the port has become an essential component of the integrated supply chain. Population growth, direction of global politics, increased vessel sizes, improved connections with hinterland markets, and sustainability and resiliency are some of the key factors that are part of our future planning. Taking emerging technologies into consideration, Port Houston continuously collaborates with its suppliers and industry partners. Current trends indicate that a port equipped with advanced technology will be able to provide enhanced level of service to its customers with reduced supply chain costs. With its advanced planning and forward thinking, Port Houston is well poised to strengthen its position in the regional and global markets. In addition to all this, Port Houston maintains a steadfast commitment to safety and security. Our objective is to have prepared and responsive mutual aid, and we have important responsibilities in this arena, which includes port security, port police, emergency management, information security, and fire. As regulations change and Port Houston continues to grow, safety and security would also need to adjust and adapt accordingly. So we have talked about the 4 C's. So what do we need to implement the strategies and the initiatives of our 2040 plan? We need the capital, we need the money. As part of our planning process, we have identified short, mid, and long-term projects and are currently estimating that Port Houston may spend more than $4 billion over the next 20 years. Project 11 is our most ambitious initiative, which is a $1 billion project and a significant piece of infrastructure development in the entire nation. Through our advanced planning process, we intend to deliver tangible economic and social impacts, which include community projects, enhanced mobility, environmental stewardship, safety, security, innovation, as well as resilience. The Houston Ship Channel itself contributes significantly to the regional, state, and national economies, and we want it to continue as we move into the future. And anticipating the many ways the future may unfold, we have built flexibility in our 2040 plan to allow for adapting to emerging opportunities and challenges. As part of our planning, we have looked at a number of short, medium, and long-term horizons and scenarios to frame the implementation of this plan. As we move forward, these will be continuously reviewed and adjusted to account for changing organizational and stakeholder needs, as well as market demands. Houston continues to grow, and as a result, there are significant planning and development initiatives underway throughout our region. Port Houston recognizes the importance of understanding the broader planning context in which the 2040 plan has been prepared and it will be implemented. As I mentioned in the beginning, as part of the 2040 plan process, we took a holistic approach and reviewed more than 50 local, regional, and statewide interagency plans to ensure that our planning activities and investments are consistent with the efforts being made to improve the areas in which we live and work, from road infrastructure planning and improvements that help keep freight moving to flood control projects that can help reduce shoaling in the channel to community initiatives that improve safety and quality of life. So through the review of those 50 plus plans, we identified 70 relevant themes, which highlight potential synergies and common goals and form the basis for continued dialogue with our stakeholders. The top 5 themes are highlighted on this slide. Port Houston embraces the benefit it serves as the local sponsor of the Houston Ship Channel and operator of public docks. Through the 2040 plan, we are providing a tangible vision of how we are creating a stronger and more resilient port with sustainable contributions, but we fully recognize that we cannot do it alone. The strategies established by the 2040 plan will require the support of numerous government agencies, port users, customers, non-government organizations, community leaders, and area residents. Interagency coordination and collaboration will support driving region success. That's what we think. And lastly, these are some of the outcomes that we foresee from the effective implementation of the strategies and initiatives of our 2040 plan. Through active partnerships with our communities and the public and private sectors, our aim is to work towards achieving common goals and driving our region's prosperity. And that is all I have for you today. I know it may be a lot of information to digest in a short amount of time, but I'm happy to answer any questions you may have right now. Or if you think of any questions later, you can email them to me. And also want to know that the full 2040 plan document is available on our website. Thank you all for your time. Happy to take any questions.
Does anybody have any questions at this time? Let me see, can we get them to, if you have any questions at this time, we're happy to unmute you so that you can ask Roy your questions. Does anybody have anything? Waiting to see here, nothing yet. Looks like we have a couple of thank yous coming in, right? Let's see. All right, as of right now, I don't think anyone has any questions. Let's see. Still waiting, nope. So a couple of thank yous, a couple of great presentations in the chat. Roy, thank you so much for your presentation and telling us all about your long-term plan, your long-range plan for the 2040 plan, and how you guys got to the development of that. We have one question: how wide is the port expanding?
And also we have one hand raised, so
let's look at that one too.
So I'm not sure I completely understand your question, Veronica. How wide is the port expanding? Can you expand a little bit more on that question?
Veronica, do you want us to unmute you so that you can ask your question?
So I'll try and respond to that in the way that I understand it. Is if you think about it, currently both our container terminals, the two that we operate, Barbers Cut and Bayport, our annual capacity or annual throughput capacity is about 3 million TEUs, and we still have room to build them. We are currently rehabilitating the Barbers Cut terminal, and we are also expanding Bayport terminal. So with the entire build out, our capacity will be able to handle about up to 7 million TEUs, and our estimate is like, no, that's how much we would need by 2040 or maybe 2030s if we go into high growth scenarios. And after that, we'll have to look into the possibilities of developing a new terminal to accommodate the growth.
Thank you.
Thank you. And it looks like Nelson Knuckles also has a question. Nelson, can you speak so we can see if we can hear you? There we go.
This is Barb Knuckles. You'd mentioned a new terminal plan, and you'd also shown properties down in Pelican Island, and there'd been previous studies there. Would you care to elaborate more on the new terminal plan and where the new terminal might be located? Any plans for Pelican Island?
Look, that's we have done a lot of studies on Pelican Island, and it will be part of our considerations when we do get into the details of developing a new terminal. Right now, it's in very early stages of our discussions internally within the organization. But Pelican Island is something that has been considered in the past and will also be considered as we move into the future. However, the biggest constraint that we see with Pelican Island is the infrastructure. It does not have rail connectivity, or even the bridge that connects the island to the mainland is only one lane each way, and it's in a pretty bad condition. So we have been in discussions with TxDOT as well to see if there are any possibilities to expedite some of that connectivity. So that will basically drive if we take Pelican Island into consideration or not. However, we are looking as part of this new terminal planning. We are probably going to be looking at building a terminal similar to our existing terminals on the Houston Ship Channel. So we have deep water available to us because a lot of thinking has gone into the process, and we think like we may not run out of yard space, but at some time we are going to be wharf constrained. So if we cannot service more than X amount of vessels in a week, then we'll have to accommodate for that. Then either we are going to start losing business to the competitors, or we are not going to be able to grow. So that's where we are at in terms of our planning and thinking at this point in time.
You'd on previous presentations, y'all had considered partnering with Freeport, or and you'd mentioned deep water. Where might this new terminal be if you had to get to deep water?
Look, at the moment, I think it'll need to be on the Houston Ship Channel somewhere, and I cannot say where it will be. So that's a study that will be carrying out in the next year or so, just to see what the possibilities are and where we can go, because we need to be able to accommodate growth. If we are not at the Houston Ship Channel and we move somewhere else, then we'll have to dredge the channel again for, like, the vessels are getting larger every day. So recently, Panama has allowed vessels up to 1,200 feet in length, and those kind of vessels cannot come upstream into the Houston Ship Channel because of the restrictions from the Houston pilots, which I believe currently allow vessels up to 910 feet in length to go upstream. So that's going to be a big consideration in terms of like how we can accommodate those larger vessels and where we can do that.
Awesome. Thank you for that. Mr. Knuckles, do you have any additional questions?
Yes. For engineering opportunities with the Port of Houston, who would we make contact with at the port? Yourself?
No, for engineering opportunities, I think the best team to reach out to would be our procurement team. So you can send an email or message to procurement@porthouston.com. And then if you want to copy me, that's fine, and I can follow up on that. Or if you want to send an email to me, that's fine as well, and I can pass it on to them. So they are the ones who will guide you the whole process of registering, and they kind of reach out to different vendors when a new project is coming up.
Okay. Wanted to see if we'd post your email. Francis, would you send that to people?
Yes.
Rohit, contact info?
I will post his email in the chat. Bear with me just 1 second, and I will get that in there for you.
Okay, thank you. Very good presentation.
Thank you. I think there is one more question,
Let's see.
Francis. Okay, the question is, what are opportunities for considerations for an inland port in the 2040 plan?
Mhm.
So that's another thing that we are considering, and there are a lot of logistical issues and things involved in that. So yes, that is part of our growth strategy, that we are going to be looking at an inland port development as well. Where it's going to be, we don't know, but in terms of inland port, we are looking at something that would be about 200 miles and more from Houston. So that would take us to Dallas-Fort Worth area to give us the ability to penetrate the markets in Chicago and further north.
Awesome, perfect. I am getting ready to post Roy's email address in the chat box right here. He also has another email address on the slide as well, which is the 2040 plan at porthouston.com. So I have both of those in there for you. Do we have any other additional questions? Doesn't look like it. So I'm going to take this time. Roy, thank you so much for being here with us today and for sharing all of this very valuable information about what to look forward with and what we're looking forward to, and just knowing that the Port of Houston is ready for the future. So we really appreciate you being here for us today.
Thank you again
Everyone else,
thank you again for your time, everyone.
absolutely.
And thanks to HGAC and Francis for the interest in Port Houston's 2040 plan and giving me the opportunity to talk about it. Thank you.
Thank you. Everyone else, thank you so much for being here with us today. I have a couple of announcements before we close and I let you go. A couple of things that the Houston-Galveston Area Council has coming up. Tomorrow, we have a webinar. This webinar is going to cover cloud security and the virtual environment. We have 2 guest speakers, one which is our very own IT manager, which is John Tran, and we will also have a speaker from Virtual Cube. They're going to discuss arming your team with a safe and secure virtual environment for your remote work. On Friday, the 23rd, we also have the Transportation Policy Council meeting. That meeting is going to be held and can be viewed online at hgac.com. Also, we have dropping this week, the Regionally Coordinated Transportation Plan has a public survey that's dropping this week. You can see that survey at engage.hgac.com/RCTP. And on August 12th, we have another webinar. This one is Managing the Hybrid Environment, Best Practices for Managers and Employees. So this one is going to give you some best practices on how to manage with some of your employees and some of your staff working in office and others working from home. In the chat, I'm going to post the links for you to register to the upcoming webinars. As I previously mentioned, the TPC meeting will be live streamed. You can view that online at hgac.com. And if you have any questions about any of our events, you can feel free to send me an email, let me know. I would be happy to assist you in any way that I can. And also a last quick reminder that September is Commute Solutions Month. So just keep an eye out for any and all fun activities that we will have coming your way. At this moment, I would like to thank everyone for being here, for spending your lunch hour with us. Roy, one last thank you to you, and we will see you next time. Take care,
Thank
everyone.
you all. Bye.
All right, thank you.
Good job, everybody.